Noted. What? A legendary figure. Ugh. This is gonna be a long day. Welcome to SegoB Breaks It Down. Today we're talking about a woman who only appears in a few lines of scripture, yet has lived on thousands of years in legend, religion, and cultural pride. She's known as the Queen of Sheba, but was she just a footnote in Solomon's story, or a legendary figure whose power was buried under centuries of male-centered storytelling? Let's break it down. So let's start with the basics, or what passes as the basics from 3,000 years of mixed messages. She's unnamed, there's no kingdom map, no record of her childhood, and no story as to how she rose to power. However, in the Bible, she is unnamed, just called the Queen of Sheba, heard about Solomon's fame, great wealth, and decided to pay him a visit in Jerusalem. Came, had asked him a lot of hard questions, diplomatic conversation, brought some serious bling, a sort of boss queen meets wise king sort of meeting. And the Quran is also unnamed, but the drama is turned up a bit. She is summoned by the Prophet Solomon still, who wants her to stop worshipping the sun and the moon and submit under the one true God. Much conversation, just a spiritual awakening. Now enter the gymnast, which is swinging the hardest. She is Makeda, the Queen of Sheba, and she goes to test. So she hears about Solomon's wisdom and she goes and asks him a whole lot of hard questions. But then apparently the spiciness that happens, Solomon then tricks the Queen of Sheba into his bed. Now, I'm a grown woman. What does tricking her into bed mean? Because it could mean one of two things. Either the Queen of Sheba was seduced by Solomon, which is not far-fetched, seeing as he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Or the part that we probably don't want to think about. But it goes back to say, like, what kind of queen travels for months? And I mean months. It is calculated that she traveled for about 2 to 3 months. So back and forth trip is about half a year. So why would she, just go there just to test his knowledge? So this was not a fan meeting. This was a diplomatic meeting between two very powerful rulers. So the Queendom of Sheba sits in, depending on which theory you go with, sits between the modern day Yemen or Ethiopia, or both or none. But either way, it was sitting on major spice and incense trade routes. This was a wealthy, strategic, and most likely matriarchal society. So her visit to Solomon had less to do with his knowledge and probably more to do with diplomatic relations, trade agreements, and probably to test his knowledge with a bit of a side eye. Let's be real. The story of Solomon was written by his chroniclers, who state that the queen was dazzled by his wealth, his kingdom, and his God. But we don't hear her voice. We don't get to see her side. Was she impressed? Was she annoyed? Did she even leave at all? Whether you believe the stories or not, one thing is for sure. Her legend did not die in his court, and neither did it begin there. Paul never mentions her again But Arabia remembers her as Bilqis, and Ethiopia remembers her as Makeda, the mother of kings. And Africa remembers her as a symbol of feminine divinity and wisdom. Maybe the mystery is not whether she existed or not, but why history let her fade into someone else's story. Was the Queen of Sheba a distorted historical figure, or was she a mythical legend? Or was she a woman whose story was just too powerful to preserve? She didn't need Solomon to shine. She went to Solomon and disappeared in mystery, leaving everyone scrambling to define her. And that is queen behavior. Alright guys, that is it for the first episode of the African Queen series. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bells, like, and join us next time when we break it down one crazy thing at a time. Bye guys.